Hi, my name is Quinn Carvalho. I'm coming to you from Oregon State University here in Corvallis, Oregon. Um, and the research that I do focuses on utilizing a variety of different spectroscopic techniques to develop design strategies for electrocatalysts that will provide the resources we need for a carbon-free world. When I first got out of my undergraduate degree, climate change still seemed kind of like a distant threat. But now, as I'm approaching the end of my graduate degree, we're starting to live through some of the ramifications of continued unchecked fossil fuel emissions. One promising alternative to current technologies, which rely on copious amounts of CO2 emissions to produce all of the commodities that we rely on, is to look to electrochemistry. Electrochemistry utilizes electrons instead of thermal energy. And so in this way, we can utilize renewable electrons from sources like solar and wind power to generate the commodities that we rely on as a society and to maintain the standard of living that we've come to expect while also transitioning to a greener society. So my first day of work was at the Advanced Light Source, or the ALS, at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. And we were at my PhD advisor, Kelsey Storzinger, as well as a fellow graduate student, PJ Adiga. We're at Beamline 932, which is an ambient pressure XPS, or X-ray photoelectron spectroscopy end station. For me, I kind of knew the implications of going to a light source. I knew that this could be somewhere where I could have a lot of interest in working one day. And so I saw a lot of value in learning what it was like to be there through the eyes of postdocs that were there assisting with experiments, as well as through Beamline scientists. In that case, we were working with Dr. Slavomir Nemcak, and to try to get a sense for what their life was like. So there was a lot of excitement, a lot of curiosity, a lot of nervousness, honestly. It's a relatively exciting time. There's a lot going on and a lot to learn really fast. But at the end of the day, the Beamline scientists there are there to help you. They're there to see your experiments have the greatest chance of success and get the greatest quality of data that you can. And so interacting with Beamline scientists like Dr. Slavomir Nemcak was really valuable, and at the end of the day created a great data set that we were able to learn a lot from. For me, it's a mixture of the need to develop carbon-free technologies to catalyze the production of commodity materials we rely on as a society, helping mentoring others, and that feeling of being on the cusp of discovery. That moment when you realize that you're the first person to observe, measure, and describe a physical phenomenon is one of the greatest sensations I've experienced as a professional, and something that motivates me still to this day. I think the most important thing is to know what you want and to follow that. At this point in my career, I'm a graduate student, and when I first got out of my undergraduate degree, I wasn't sure that I wanted to go to grad school. I thought I wanted to be a professor, but I went to industry for a little while first. And it was really valuable, transformative experience in a lot of ways. But at the end of the day, I still wanted to be in academia. I still enjoyed the idea of pedagogy. I still wanted to teach people. And realistically, research is very exciting. Like I said before, being right on the edge of what's known is very thrilling. When you're, again, the first person to observe something and report it, that's a pretty exciting sensation. And so in that way, being a graduate student may not have been the most lucrative financially experience of my life, but it's definitely been the most professionally rewarding. Just in terms of overall quality of work, enjoyment of what I do, it's much better than former roles that I've held as things like a process engineer or an environmental engineer even. I would also suggest that just like when you set out with any ambitious goal, that could be finishing your undergraduate degree, going to grad school, writing a funding proposal, starting a business even. It's that there's going to be setbacks. Go into anything with a healthy mentality of optimism, but a realistic sense of what will go wrong and that things will go wrong and that you will have to overcome those. And so being able to face failure and embrace it and learn from it is much more valuable than fearing it, I think. I try to view failure as just part of the learning process where, we try something, we observe it, we refine it, and that failure is just a natural outcome of this. So being comfortable with that failure as an inevitability rather than dreading it has been a really, really helpful aspect for me. The collaborative interactions that I've had with Beamline scientists have been profoundly beneficial for me, and have driven how I approach many of the hypotheses and experimental plans that I develop now. They've made me understand fundamentally what it is that I'm experimenting and measuring to a much greater detail and ask more informed questions. I would always say don't be afraid to ask Beamline scientists questions. They're happy to discuss science with you, even with the limited time that they have. And I really genuinely enjoy seeing others learn. I like to rock climb, I like to mountain and gravel bike, I like to ski, run, and my fresh pandemic hobby was to get into astronomy. It was well worth the experience if anyone's curious.